Hello, Ederson Oliveira here for the Soul Coder, and this is interview number 4 with my good friend Jason Nagy. Just a little bit of background on me and Jason. I used to work for a client that he used to work for as well. That was back in 2010, 2011, so that's been about 5 to 6 years that we know each other, and we are long gone from that organization, but we kept in touch, and he's pretty much a neighbor of mine. We live about, it's not even 10 kilometers away from each other. Well, just around that mark. In any case, he is one of those 3 people that I consider to be, on my, a mastermind little group, whatever that means. A small group of people that I like to bounce ideas back and forth, and we talk to each other about stuff that we are doing, and we get each other's feedback. So first of all, let's have a little bit of background on Jason here. So Jason, welcome.
Thank you.
And Jason is the president of Crescent, which is his company located here in Pickering, Ontario, Canada. Let's start with that. Jason, tell a little bit about what Crescent is and what you guys do there.
Okay. We the short statement is we build and manage mobile-ready websites for small business. We're really focused on small business to help sort of give back to them and make sure that they get their online presence going in the right direction.
Okay, perfect. Now, let's go a little bit to the past here before we get to our main theme, which is talking about BNIs. You departed from the corporate world.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I think that around 2004, 2005.
Yeah, very good.
And I'd like to know why you did that. What made you decide to leave what I assume is a high-paying job to pursue your own thing?
Yeah. Well, it was a great place to work. The salary was great. The people were good. I'd just been in the industry long enough that we'd just gone through a whole bunch of building of applications internally that I found got me really excited and passionate about building code. So an opportunity arose in the corporate world that I could leave easily, and I thought I'd go and start my own consulting thing and start my own sort of growth and building something. So I left, and the place I left was obviously one of my first clients, which was great. But it gave me the opportunity to explore what I wanted to do in coding, what I wanted to do in business. So that's where I stepped out and started doing that. That was the main purpose, was to really take all the exciting things that I thought could be built in this world from a technology standpoint and take it to the world. So that's when I embarked on this little adventure.
Got it. Okay, so I'm always usually curious about that transition phase. What type of conversations went on at home, because I know your wife, and
yeah.
So how was that transitioning phase? I'm not talking about how is it going right now, but back then, the transition from a full-time gig to your own thing. How did that conversation go with your better half there?
Well, she's very as everyone says, you always have a partner that's stronger than you when you make these adventures, and she was all for it. I had the confidence going in that I could make a go of it. She had a secured position at the time, and still does. And together we said, well, this is our opportunity to become bigger, to do bigger things. I'd talked about it for years beforehand, so this wasn't new. This was just looking for that opportunity with it to make that leap. So I'd been thinking about it for a number of years. It wasn't a hastily done decision. And it's funny because I still have paperwork that I drew up of projects that I would do and how they'd make multi-million dollars as soon as I went out. And that's the rude awakening that I had coming out. It's something that you have to be prepared for. It's different than the corporate world, but it's certainly something, that conversation you have to have, that there's from an income standpoint and where you want to grow and everything else, you have to have that with your partner and make sure that it works. So
Got it. Okay, so is there anything that, I mean, you have, 2005, 2016, so 11 years, just about 11 years here.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you recognize now that you could have done differently that you learn after 10 years doing this, and say, hey, if you could talk to your early self,
Yeah.
you could say, you know what, watch out for this.
Yeah. There's 1,000 of those things, as I'm sure you know as well. The when you go out, you have to have a definitive plan to get customers. So I was always leaning towards the product side. I can make something that people will love, and I can, and it's needed, and people are going to flock to it. That doesn't happen. You have to really understand how to get that first client, and then that second client, and it has to be profitable. You can't give away the farm and hope that you're going to reap the rewards. So you really have to plan. You have to think about it a little. I've talked to other entrepreneurs that are in the same boat that have tried this, and they come out and they get a rude awakening for a number of reasons. Financially is one of the first ones that usually hit them, because the successes that you have in the corporate world don't necessarily translate into the solar consulting world. You're everything. So you have to do everything, and you have to be, quite often your skills aren't up to snuff in a lot of different areas. So mine was, I thought I was a good salesperson, that I could sell within the corporate space to other business people, like for project buy-in and stuff like that. But that didn't translate well into actually going and getting clients and bringing them in and work through the sales cycle and close deals. That was a lesson I had to learn. So I would say one of the key things is make sure that you have a broad knowledge at least, of all the different pieces that you'll need coming out, and ask those important questions.
Okay. So we talk a little bit about background and history. Now let's jump to the present. And one of the key aspects that I think that, regardless if we're talking about a product or a service, which is usually the case for a solo coder, we need distribution. We need channels to distribute whatever service we are providing. And again, I cannot stress enough of how this is important. This is not about being the best skilled professional out there. It's really about finding channels to distribute whatever you're doing, your service. And that's the main topic of our conversation today, because you found one of those channels, and it's a channel that I have never tapped in, but I brought you here today to really explain about that. So let's start with, what is a BNI? What is BNI?
What is BNI? That's a good question, because before I entered into it, I didn't know what BNI was either. I hadn't heard of it. Someone out of the blue sent me an email, and the president of the local chapter, and said, I saw your website. We're looking for someone with a website. Can you come on out? It's a networking group that's based on referrals, which is a little different than the average networking group. So it's not like you're handing business cards out and here you go and thank you and nice to meet you and good to hear about your business. It's more about what is your business, and I can help you with your business. So you're really talking, the whole group takes on this sales organization for you. But let's step back a bit. BNI is Business Networking International. They have chapters around the world. They have hundreds of thousands of participants in BNI. Which, again, was news to me, right? But they're there. And what it is the uniqueness about it, other than the referral aspect of the group itself, you can also, in each chapter, they call it locking down your role. So, for example, I'm going in as a web designer and developer for small business. No other business can come into my chapter that has those same qualifications. So, and likewise around the room, we have financial advisors, we have mortgage brokers, tradespeople, so plumbers, electricians, renovators, holistic healers, naturopaths. I guess the naturopath is the holistic healer, and a number of other, a list of trades. And we meet on a regular basis Weekly, 6 o'clock every Tuesday. That's mandatory, and they see that as part of the process. Because if I'm not there, then other people can't. They won't know what I do on the level that I know it. So you have to, every week we get an opportunity to speak for a minute and say what our business is, and sort of drill home a point that we want our sales force to understand, so they can take out and refer customers to me.
Got it. Yeah, so you brought a good point there, which I remember you talking to me about that, which in essence, what you are trying to do is convey the message of what you do and build your BNI team is actually your sales force.
Yeah,
in a way, one sales force that you have.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, and the side effect of this, outside of just they're my sales force and going out, and it's because you're not really selling to them directly. Although I've picked up a number of people that I'm providing services to, but I'm really trying to tap into their networks of people, so they're talking to other people. But the side effect of all of this is I really have to hone my sales message to them. And that's really helped me to really define what works from a sales perspective, from a sales messaging perspective anyway, which is highly valuable in my eyes.
And is that working for you? I mean, how tangible are the results that you're getting out of that channel?
Well, I was getting, to give you a concrete example, I was getting about a client a month that was coming onto my platform when we were growing. That was early days. Crescent has only been around for a year and a half compared to when I left. So I did some consulting, and then I started Crescent. So in that time, about 1 to 2 a month tops, and now I'm getting 2 to 3 a week out of this, both from internal BNI customers or BNI chapter members.
Yep.
But external, I'm very pleased with it on how it's reached out to other people. Now that works for my type of business too. I think there are businesses that would come in there that wouldn't see that kind of success, but mine's such a fit with small business, and this networking is really about small business and connecting.
Got it. I just want to quickly mention that I have another friend that has a lot of success, had a lot of success with BNIs, and it was actually mid to large size clients that he was getting from it,
Yeah, because that's what I'm anticipating as we go forward. That's where my messaging will change as well. But because everyone in the group, of course, they know other people that are at bigger companies. So they just have to hear some trigger words from me that say, look, I'm now looking for, the companies 50 to 100 that do this type of service. And then it sets that specific call to action for them that they can then take that forward and go help me.
Got it.
And I help them as well.
You help them as well. Yeah. You're just selling me on a plumber.
On the plumber, yeah. Well, and that's the really great thing about this is that for my clients who also need all these other things, I can now help them as well. I say I have a list of people I really trust. I meet them every week. I know what they do. You very quickly learn within the group who are the good people and who you have to watch a little more. And I'm new to it, but you can see it very quickly. So I highly recommend it.
Perfect. Okay, so you said that you didn't know about BNIs before, and then you came in. Anything that caught you out of guard there when you went first time? I mean, and I'm talking about negatives and positives. I mean, everything in life has negative side, has a positive side. So anything caught you out of guard when you went for the first time?
Yeah. I was also, just a little bit of a backstory, I was a long time Toastmaster. I haven't done that in a number of years, but similar to Toastmaster, this is a very structured meeting. So you have, it almost feels a little awkward at first because you're following this agenda that's very specific. Some people are reading the points because they're new to the role on what this person does, and every meeting follows the exact same sort of set schedule for a reason, because this is the successful business model that they've used, or meeting model, I guess. Yep. But they there's times that it feels a little awkward at the beginning, but once you get into the flow of it, it's about the people really, and they're all really quite good. So you get to learn about them and what they do and how to make things happen. But getting up early in the morning, you have to be used to that. But I found it really gives me a charge for the week, and that's because you're thinking the sales message that follows through for the whole week. So it's beneficial that way too.
So this is an organization that is, to be a member, you have to pay some fees. I mean, there's a fee structure.
Yeah.
So can you, I guess, touch a little bit on that part?
Yeah, it's like traditional networking groups. I'm also part of the board of trade, local board of trade. It's a couple $100 a year, and you pay for events and such. But it's not a referral network, and anyone can join. So it's very different. This one is the pricing did catch me off guard a bit. It's not cheap, but it's not in the way of customers and channels.
Yep.
It's paid for itself for me. So it's really been effective. But it's one thing that I wish that we could address, because there's also, you're paying for a breakfast every week, which isn't exorbitant or anything. But then you paying your regular fees, it becomes, for some, I could see it could become a barrier to getting in.
Got it.
Which, if there's any barriers, then you're losing opportunity, I see. So that's something I don't know if I can address as we go forward, but we'll see. The one thing I did find out about it is that BNI chapters are owned, which is very different as well. So you could be a franchisee and own a chapter. So I'm assuming part of the registration fees are going to the person that owns that chapter.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. If I want to get somehow involved on a BNI, what should be my first step? What is it? Where do I start?
Yeah, well, where I started, I'll give you my story, and then I'll suggest an alternative approach, because I don't think my approach was the best. Like I said, I got an invite. I went to the meeting, and I joined that day, just because I was looking for other channels and opportunities as well, and I thought this would be a good group. Now, funny enough, what I would say you do is do a little research on it. Now that you know about BNI, search for, there's multiple chapters in your region. Attend some meetings. Go out. You can contact either anyone in the group and say, look, I want to come out as a visitor. They'll register you. You pay your breakfast dues at the meeting. You get an opportunity to speak. If you don't match up with someone else that's in the group that has the same sort of vertical that you're in. And then you see how you feel with that group. I'm still figuring out what the most advantageous group would be to join, or to tell other people. For me, I'm with my group. I want to grow my group, and I want to be part of that. But I could see that if you shopped around, you could find some interesting, different avenues to get into it. But it's I think it's well worth it. And just to qualify, I'm not a sales rep or connected to them anyway, other than being a chapter member. Yep. So got
it. Okay, so I'm assuming that I live somewhere in the U.S. or in Canada or anywhere in the globe, and I can just put let's say my city name, on Google, BNI on my city or my region. If you are in a metropolitan area, I guess.
Yeah, they have a whole online presence for every chapter. They're somewhat buried underneath sort of a longer web address, but they're all there. You can also see all the members that are part of it and what occupation they do. So that's a good way. You can research from home. You don't have to go to each meeting, and you could really do some research at home first and say, okay, I'm going to try this particular meeting.
Got it.
But you mentioned it. It's an interesting little thing that they are around the world. So if you're traveling, you're heading down to California, great time to pop into a meeting. You get some potential tax issues there, and but you also get to make connections down in other regions with other people and other groups. So now you could be potentially a referral for the people down there. So it's a really good way to sort of reach out. I haven't done that yet, but I've heard of others that do. They purposely, when they're going to travel, search for BNI chapters.
So there is a little bit investment of money, that again, as I can hear from you, it's more than worth the money.
Yeah.
Now, time is also another aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What time allocation do you think that it's the BNI effort is taking from you? Is that just the meeting time, or is there a prep time that you do? Is there a, I mean,
yeah, that's a good question. There is a bit of a commitment because there's expectations on the group that you're gonna a couple of things. You're always gonna be prepared coming into it. And you're gonna have you're gonna try and bring out visitors because the whole concept is to grow that network, right? So you want to they could be visitors people you don't know, just business people that are in the area that have something that's not part of the group now, and you want to bring them out. It's beneficial to them too, but it's also beneficial to the group because there's more references coming in. You do have a weekly 1-minute presentation. I have shamefully done it on the fly quite often, but I found if I prepare my message, so spend a little time, that's a little time that I take outside of the meeting to really hone my message a little better. But it's really minimal outside, and like I said, the meeting is early, so it's not the normal business hours. So if you had a 9-to-5 business, you could certainly still do this beforehand. So.
Got it. Okay, so let me just go back one step there. And you said that there's this non-competing thing that if you we are coders, so if there's anybody already in that chapter that is competing with you, so you won't be able to join that. So what is the alternative for that person? What is the alternative?
The alternative is to go try and find another chapter that's in
close
the area, close by, and there most likely will be. Specifically, I'm not sure a strict coder would work in this. You'd have to have some kind of business angle around your coding. So you'd have to lead with I create software that keeps track of your invoices, or I something business related directly.
I see. You have. Whatever coding you do, don't go for the tech angle.
Yeah,
it's not that. I mean, talk the business angle.
Right.
And if you don't want to talk the business angle, you should not listen to this. So again, you have to go with a business angle to that. Because again, you are talking to lawyers, you are talking to accountants, you are talking to business people that are there interested in building their businesses.
Exactly.
So again, not coding there.
Yeah.
So, good point. So, we're coming to an end here, but let me ask you this. What is it that, is there any aspect that we have not discussed here about BNIs that you think that is relevant to mention? And anything else?
Yeah, they're one motto, I guess, the trademark motto, I think, is givers gain. Where, if you put into the club and you put into the other members trying to doing your role, like bring out visitors, trying to make referrals. You want to actively make referrals for other people in your chapter. Then they reciprocate, and I think that's a general rule in life. If you're helping people will help you as well. I think that's a good motto to follow too, because I always like the aspect of helping people as well too.
And Jason invited me to go to one of those meetings. I went, and again, I can attest that it's a very well structured meeting. They don't lose time. It's time. Everything is very very timed. So I really think it's a great channel, and I don't go to that one because I'll be competing with Jason most likely. But anyway, Jason, one takeaway about BNIs that you can leave solo coders out there with. I mean, one key takeaway, I would say.
Well, I think the key, the main thing that BNI does for me that I think is more valuable than the referrals and everything else, and I touched on this earlier, is this aspect of honing your sales message. You get to practice it over and over again. I get, there's 52 weeks in a year. Every week I get to hone that down, and you can see on the faces of the people there if they get it or not. If they're understanding the message, and because that's the message you're not just going to this group with, that's the message you're taking internally, which then you take outside. So you take it to the business world, and it has to connect with people. And that's the main takeaway. You have to connect with people with your business and what you do. So this is a great practice area to do that, and a channel to bring in new business. Like it really is. But the connection is the number one takeaway. You have to connect with people to make sure that your services are known, what you do and how you do it, and that they want to do business with you.
Actually, before we finish, is there a training aspect to BNI as well? Do they have some sort of training as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they do. They have, I'm still uncovering what their full sort of breadth of stuff. They have a number of online websites with webinars and training. They also have, both in this region and in Toronto, they have central classes that you can go to and participate. They're included in that networking fee. So when you start to look at these other add-ins too, that fee starts coming right down, because you know as well as I do that you can go to a training course that would eat up a couple $1,000s in a few minutes. This isn't that exorbitant, but it's the training is good too. This is tried and true stuff, so it really helps. And some of it, in fact, is required, which is interesting. So you go to some in-classroom training that's required.
Got it.
There's one main aspect I forgot about all of this too, that is really makes BNI unique, and for some reason I forgot it, is that they measure everything, just like you should be in your business. So they measure the number of referrals, they measure the number of education units you take, they measure the number of visitors that are brought out, the number of closed business. So they highlight the number of dollars that club has made. And that could be another thing for you too, that, okay, $200,000 went through the club in referrals. That might be something that leads you towards one club over another. Because if one's, 2 million and the other one is, 10,000, you may want to take a look at the 2 million group and see if that type of referral is going through there. So. But yeah, that's another key concept that completely slipped my mind, which I think is important.
Perfect. Okay, so we are wrapping up this interview about BNIs. I know that some people that have interacted on this Slack group that have joined BNIs, I would like to hear your experience, based on what Jason is telling about BNIs. Do you want to try BNI? If you go to a BNI, give your feedback. About what we have discussed. Do you think it's worth going to a BNI? That's about it. Jason, thank you very much, man.
Thank you, Ash.
We appreciate
All
it.
right.
Okay, Slack peeps, let's join, let's participate, let's talk about this, okay? We are there and we are always talking, but I want to talk more there, okay? That's it. So, thank you very much. End of interview number 4. Bye.